My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
We acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Welcome to This Song Is Yours. We're a music podcast that chats to artists, musicians and creatives on their songwriting craft and upcoming projects. I'm your host Simon Fink and welcome to episode 263. Joining us on the podcast today is singer, songwriter and producer PJ Harding. You might know PJ from his own solo music work, his songwriting work with artists like Lil Nas X, Guy Sebastian, Little Mix and more, or you might know him from his collaborative work with one Miss Noah Cyrus. However you do know him, you're going to love him after you listen to his brand new solo EP, To Fall Asleep. He released it on Friday and it is some of the most gorgeous songwriting I've heard in a while, plus it's sonically beautiful as well. You can find a link to stream his EP in the show notes alongside all of our details. If you're not already, please make sure you subscribe to the podcast and follow us across all of our socials. Links to our Instagram, TikTok, YouTube and everything else can be found within the show notes. Our guest today is PJ Harding. The Australian singer, songwriter and producer, whether you know it or not, has been working within the scenes of the music industry since 2013. Originally starting out with his musical project Thief, he then changed into a more behind-the-scenes role where he collaborated and wrote for artists like Ruel, Jessica Mauboy, Guy Sebastian and more. A chance encounter at a songwriting camp saw PJ's talent showcased in front of Noah Cyrus, who immediately fell in love with his songwriting craft and method. He relocated to LA in 2019 and has since worked with artists like Lil Nas X, Diplo, Little Mix, and he's released music collaboratively with Miss Cyrus. Last week, PJ stepped out on his own with his highly anticipated debut EP, To Fall Asleep. It's a collection of songs he wrote during the 2020 pandemic that capture this beautiful, insular nature of loneliness and hope, all within a beautiful kind of folk standard. In today's episode, we talk to PJ Harding about how he got started in the world of songwriting. We discuss the time in which these songs were created and how he managed to capture such intimate moments in these beautiful kind of songs. We also talk about his friendship with Noah Cyrus and how she saw the level of talent that PJ had and supported and nurtured that. PJ will be touring alongside Noah Cyrus while she's in Australia next month for Splendour in the Grass. We have included the tour dates for Noah and PJ in the show notes, along where you can stream the EP To Fall Asleep. We do want to say a massive thank you to Annastasia and Chris from Sony Music for their help with today's episode. Here is our conversation with PJ Harding.
Love is a wet road at night. I probably shouldn't be driving. You were laying on the backseat, fast asleep in the rain. Love is a dangerous. Please welcome to This Song Is Yours, PJ Harding. Hello, sir. How are we?
Hello. We're pretty good. Yeah, we're doing okay. That's about as positive a response as you'll ever get from me. We're doing pretty good. We're doing okay.
I like it. Look, the positivity I can tell is it's beaming, radiating from you. So
that's right. I get that a lot. I do get that a lot.
I very much appreciate your time today, PJ. It's an incredibly exciting time. There's a brand new EP from yourself called To Fall Asleep. It is out now. Congratulations, firstly. This is it's a beautiful, beautiful EP.
Thank you. It feels like just a cruelly long time coming. You know, the EP sort of was all written like back in 2020 and has sort of been finished since kind of the middle of 2021. So it's taken a long time to actually get out into the world. But I'm very happy that it's all kind of tied up and people get to hear it now.
I can very much appreciate that. I guess just very quickly touching on what you just mentioned, I don't know about you, I'm someone who, once something is done, if I've got to then leave it for a long period of time, I'm likely to revisit it and kind of tinker with it and, make changes as that time has gone. Are you similar to that, or are you kind of, once it's done, you lock it away and it is what it is?
I feel like I'm pretty, once it's done in my head, and this can be its own problem, but once it's done in my head, I have trouble continuing to work on it. And things sometimes get done in my head well before they're done in anyone else's heads when you're collaborating. So that can get difficult. But no, that sort of hasn't been a problem. I've been very happy I'm always like keen. I want it to be done almost as quickly as possible. I'm like, as soon as I'm like remotely happy with a thing, I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna learn to love this. With enough time, I'm gonna love this thing. So I'm not someone that like spends a lot of time like pruning the edges of a thing. Once I feel good about it, I just like a little switch goes, and then it's finished and I'm done. But what I have found a little bit hard, is like without releasing like this body of work, there is a part of me that finds it hard to move on to like the next, creating the next body of work. And, that's a bit more of a challenge. But I was happy with it 2 years ago, and I'm still happy with it.
And as you should be. I'm not trying to be hyperbolic when I say this. It is a gorgeous EP, mate. And
thank you.
There's I feel like there over the course, and we're not going to focus on COVID because everyone went through that. We don't want to talk about it too much, but
let's talk about it. Let's spend the next half hour talking about COVID-19.
Anyone who tuned in to talk about songwriting, you're going to be sorely disappointed. What I think you've done with this EP, there were so many lockdown kind of albums or EPs or pieces of music where it was someone alone with their thoughts and with only kind of minimal instrumentation. And I feel that this EP has done the very difficult task. I feel like it's one of the few releases over the last few years where it actually really encapsulates that. It's this beautiful juxtaposition of warmth and loneliness all in the one recording. And I don't know how you've done it, but it kind of gave me chills listening to it last night. And so I don't even know if I have a question. I might just be rambling at this point, but how do you feel listening back to these songs now, as we've mentioned, that they are a few years removed? What's your kind of relationship or reaction to them?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I'm glad. I'm glad that that's what you take from it, because then I think it's a very sort of internal record, and I think that mixture of kind of loneliness and anxiety with surrounded by this kind of warmth and love. It's very much the situation I was in in lockdown. We were here in LA, but I have my family and my two kids and my wife with me, and it was kind of a lovely time in so many ways, like being able to spend so much time layer, this kind of dread that hovered over every sort of waking moment that we didn't talk about all the time, but that when you're trying to get to sleep, or when you're trying to write a song, or when you're trying to think about anything, kind of hummed up under the surface and reared its head. So I think, for me, when I listen to this stuff, I very much do hear that time. A couple of the songs particularly take me straight back to that time. And I'm actually in LA right now. We're back living in Australia, but I'm just over for a work trip, and just being over here takes me back to that time as well. Lots of just these little things. But I'm, broadly grateful for everything that happened during that time. And I think it's definitely true that this music would not have happened had all of that horrible stuff not occurred.
100%. Well, I'm hoping that this trip is, the positive side of it, and not so much some of those more isolating or negative feelings that previously experienced.
No, definitely.
For some people who might not be aware, or some people who might be, you yourself, PJ, you are an artist and a songwriter in your own right, but you also have quite an impressive CV when it does come to songwriting and artists that you've worked with. I think that even listing off a few, we had Ruel, we had Diplo, Guy Sebastian, I think Little Mix, Noah Cyrus. Is it... So it's not your kind of first time releasing music, but the fact that it's just under your name, it's just you and you alone, is that nerve-wracking this time round, or is it just kind of, it's another day in the office, if you will?
Yeah, it definitely feels a little bit different. I did have, 4 or 5 or 6 years ago, I don't know how long it is now, I had another project under the name Thief that was this kind of more electronic pop music sort of thing. It was very much like a production-led thing that I was doing, and released a bunch of music with that. But it always felt a bit more like I was, just experimenting in a space and trying something on. It was not the same thing of like actually putting a piece of yourself out there. And it does feel a lot more vulnerable. I did not expect it really to feel like this. And I've certainly, like, with songs I've written with other people, the EP I did with Noah, definitely felt like there were moments in that were kind of vulnerable. But I suppose you've always got the other person there to kind of take a little bit of that heat off it or something. This is definitely, in a not always super comfortable way, has felt quite different. And I'm just getting used to it. It's like I'm trying. I'm not an oversharer. I might be an undersharer. My family might refer to me as an undersharer. I don't tend to talk a lot about what I'm doing or what I'm thinking or feeling with anybody but a select 1 or 2 people in my life. So to just put a bunch of songs out there with some of your darkest thoughts in them is a challenge. And it's I don't know what I think of it yet. I'll let you know.
We're always here if you'd like to chat and follow up. I was hoping I might be a little bit selfish and ask about my favourite track on the EP. It is It Wasn't Enough. It is a gorgeous, it kind of almost reminds me of like a folk standard in the way that the chorus kind of builds and the melody line is going up and into your higher register, which I thought was just gorgeous as well. Can you, I guess, just give us a little bit of behind the scenes of how that song came about, or what was the inspiration for it?
That song.
This podcast is brought to you by eHarmony, the dating app to find someone you can be yourself with. Why doesn't eHarmony allow copy and paste in first messages? Because you are unique, and your conversations should reflect that. eHarmony wants you to find someone who will get you. How are you going to know who gets you? If people sing you the same generic conversation starters, they message everyone else. Conversations that actually help you get to know each other. Imagine that. Get who gets you on eHarmony. Sign up today.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
I mean, yeah, it is one of those songs that that happens every now and then, you know, in your life where you just feel like this thing kind of appears before you. I know this was deep into sort of the lockdown in LA, and I'd been watching a lot of television and watching it in a way where it was just kind of like washing over me. You know, I wasn't like engaging with the things that were on. And I was just like, I just felt these kind of waves of like desire and hunger and things coming from the screen. You know, I just felt like everyone, like, they just want something else so badly, you know. And at some point the thought occurred to me, like, I wish I could just like do everything, you know, just do like a little bit of everything so I could just let everyone know that that's not it. You know, that's not going to be the thing. And I think that's where that sort of was the impetus for the song. And it came very quickly, I think, in the end. I think I wrote a lot of it at the piano, but then, transferred it to the guitar, and sort of as soon as I had those 4 verses, stanzas or whatever they are down, I recorded it, and that's the recording that you hear on the EP.
Again, it is a gorgeous track, so thank you for sharing that with us.
I would be
curious to know, because again, it seems like you have had quite a bit of success with songwriting, both with your own artist's project and with others. Do you remember what originally drew you to songwriting and the art of kind of writing music and lyrics?
I do think about this a bit, because I do remember thinking, I have a good friend, Mike McCarthy, who I played music with for years, who is a wonderful songwriter, and had sort of started, I was playing drums in a band with Mike and my brother, Tim, and I'm trying to think how old I was, maybe like 10 or 11 years old. And Mike, who's a couple of years older than me, had sort of started writing songs, and they were so good. And I just felt like, I've got to do this. I got to learn how to do this. And so, yeah, I think I was 12 or 13 years old, and, taught myself a couple of chords on the guitar, and turn those into songs immediately. It was always like just a vehicle for writing a song. And yeah, there was some big, like, I did get truly obsessed with some songs, like, I'm trying to remember the songs back in the day, but I know like Ice House, Electric Blue was like a big song for me as a young person, as a little, preteen. It was like, I knew that there was something magical about that song, and that I wanted to hear it again and again, and I just wanted it injected into my veins, and the excitement of that feeling, you know. And I think a lot of chasing songwriting is about chasing those real early foundational experiences that you have with songs, of which I had a bunch. I loved nothing more than sitting down. This is when I'm a little bit older, you know, I'd probably started to write songs 14 or 15, then like getting a new record and like sitting down with the lyrics and the liner notes and like listening to the thing over and over again and reading the lyrics. And I remember doing that with lots and lots of records. And it's something I don't do so much now, but I try and recreate. It's a bit harder to do, honestly, but I do try and recreate that feeling sometimes. When I listen to a new record, I'll pull up the lyrics and I'll try and just be totally in it.
100%. I think it is still possible. As you can see behind me, like records are still a thing, but it is in this digital age. I agree, it is much more difficult to kind of be able to immerse yourself as much as you used to when it was a more tangible
records
format.
That's true. Yeah, records are a good. Yeah, I'm rarely listening to a record. I'm rarely like buying vinyl to listen to a record for the first time, but I feel like that's what I want to start doing. I feel like that's like a little cheat code to getting a little skerrick of that experience back.
Well, I welcome you to a very expensive and never-ending hobby. So
yeah. No, I'm there. I'm already lost to it.
I would love to know, I guess, because as some people might be aware of, you did have that collaborative EP with Noah Cyrus. You are going on tour with her later next month when she's in town for Splendor. But I was hoping to, I guess, just find out how you two kind of came to be working partners, if you will, and how you came across each other's music.
Well, we, part of the world of songwriting, of like pop songwriting, are these songwriting camps that people will go to. So you'll get, a bunch of songwriters and producers together and normally some artists, and you sort of lock them away for a week or two. Sometimes somewhere exotic, because you have to convince all of these people to come. And that's where I met Noah. I met her on one of these camps in Bali. It's a camp that I'd been to a few times, and she'd been to a couple times. She'd actually been there the year before when I'd been there, but we hadn't worked together. But on the camp at the beginning of 2019, they put us in the room together with another producer, Michael Saunier, the very first day, and we wrote July that day. And so it was just immediately, it's a thing that happens. Sometimes you click with people and it works, and other times you don't so much click with people. But with Noah, it was always from the beginning, it just felt very natural and like we were complementing each other, in the room. And yeah, we wrote July, and then we wrote a bunch more songs we wrote a few more songs for her EP. And then, that was about the time everything kind of locked down in 2020. So we moved over to LA at the end of 2019. And yeah, she had floated the idea of us forming a band the first day, we wrote that song together. So I think she probably sensed something before I did, that this was like a special thing, and something we needed to kind of foster and look after. And I'm glad that she did see that, and that we did eventually put all that time into the project, because it's some of my favorite music of the last 3 years is music that I've written with Noah. And there's a bunch more. I came out in February and wrote a bunch with Noah, and songs that no one's heard that are some of my favorite songs. So I'm very grateful to have that relationship and that songwriting partner in my life.
Of course. I'm curious if you're playing together later next month. There's more music that's been written together. Can we, not to give anything away, but maybe just hint at something, can we expect any possible collaborations on stage or surprises at these shows?
I mean, I would, yeah, I would hope so. I hope we'll do some stuff there together. Otherwise, I'm certainly preparing for it. But you know, no promises. But we'll have to see what happens. Hopefully, the people that are able to go will be able to. Finally, we'll get a chance to perform on stage together. But we'll see. I don't know.
That's very exciting. Look, we will wait. Hold up. We'll wait with bated breath.
Yeah.
Obviously, as I mentioned, an impressive roster of people that you have previously worked with. Is there anyone at the moment that you would very much kind of like to songwrite with or collaborate with?
I mean, it's really hard. Like, you always reticent to throw. I never know. You never know until you get in the room with someone whether really you should be writing songs with that person. There have been people I've been in the room with where, and people who I deeply respect and think they're amazing at what they do and amazing songwriters. And it's like, oh, actually, I'm only going to get in your way, here, because we're coming at things from such a different direction. I mean, I always think of voices, people I'd love to write for, and they're mostly like people that can sell the shit out of anything, you know what I mean? So, Adele or like John Legend or someone that can sing the back of a shampoo bottle. But yeah, no, I'm always excited to work with new people, and often it's people that nobody's heard of, but there's something there, and in some ways that's the most exciting thing, is to sort of work with someone. And this was the situation we had with Ruel. It was this 12-year-old that sounded just unbelievable, and nobody knew who he was, and no one had there was zero expectation, so we could really like launch the thing exactly how we wanted it, in exactly the way that was going to serve him and his music the best. And yeah, those are the really special times.
100% agreed. Well, I look forward to whoever it is that you might be working with next. I look forward to kind of seeing whatever collaboration comes from the world of PJ Harding next. PJ, we would usually ask our guests what they're currently listening to. Is there anything at the moment that's kind of on high rotation for yourself?
What am I listening to? I went on a little early Dolly Parton binge recently. It's been a few things like that. What was the other one? I mean, I'm a big Bill Callahan fan. I listened to a bunch of Bill's records and some Smog records on this trip while I've been over here. I tend not to listen to a bunch of new music. I try and keep up to date a little bit with what's going on, but I feel like I'm always drawn to something weird from 40 years ago most of the time. But those are two things just in the last sort of week that I've been listening to a bunch.
Both very solid picks, very different kind of picks in terms of moods and sonics, but both very, very solid picks. PJ, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations on To Fall Asleep, the brand new EP. We'll make sure that we put all the details for people to stream the EP in the show notes, as well as the details for the Noah shows so they can come see you perform as well. But Thank you again for coming onto the podcast.
Oh, it's such a pleasure.
Imagine the softest sheets you've ever felt. Now imagine them getting even softer over time. That's what you'll feel with Boll & Branch's best-selling signature sheets in 100% organic cotton. In a recent customer survey, 96% replied that Boll & Branch sheets get softer with every wash. Start getting your best night's sleep in sheets that get softer and softer for years to come. Try their sheets with a 30-night guarantee. Plus, get 15% off your first order at bollandbranch.com, code BUTTERY. Exclusions apply. See site for details.